Hello again everyone, and welcome to Stitch Bliss Corner. Mary Rose here. I've got some more whips to show you, vintage whips. But I'd like to start out by saying thank you to all those who have commented on Harlequin. It was very kind of you, some of the things that you've said about him, and it's nice to see him up on the wall, and he looks pretty pleased with himself, so that's very good. Now the other thing I wanted to say was congratulations to Ingeborg for her 1 year of floss tubing. She is a stitch too far, that's her site. And I don't think it can be disputed that she's contributed a lot to Flosstube with her opinions, with her works, and she's inspiring as well, and she's making great headway with her hardanger work, which gets to look more and more intricate every time I see it. I mean, she says it's easy, but it doesn't look easy to me. Anyway, so I wanted to say that. Now the other thing I wanted to say was last video I did, I mentioned the rosellas that I'd stitched, and I'll show you those again in a minute. And I mentioned a poet called Judith Wright and how they reminded me of one of her poems. Now there aren't many stanzas in it, so I'm going to read it to you in a minute. I'll show you a picture of her. She was always interested in life cycles and just in general life. That's her there. She was from Queensland, and she's passed away now. But here is the picture, the stitching that you saw last time, but it's just for if someone's watching who didn't see the last one. Okay. And I shall also show you a picture of Cycads, because that's the name of the poem. Now there's a cycad. They look a bit like a palm tree, don't they? But they're very, very slow growing. And there's the close-up of what the tops are like. There's more of a botanical one there. Just have to get that ready for something else I'm going to show you later. Right. And here is the poem. The Cycads by Judith Wright. Their smooth, dark flames flicker at time's own root. Round them the rising forests of the years alter the climates of forgotten earth, and silt with leaves the strata of first birth. Only the antique cycads sullenly keep the old bargain life has long since broken, and, cursed by age through each chill century, they watch the shrunken moon but never die. For time forgets the promise he once made, and change forgets that they are left alone. Among the complicated birds and flowers they seem a generation carved in stone. Leaning together down those gulfs they stare, over whose darkness dance the brilliant birds, that cry in air one moment and are gone, and with their countless suns the years spin on. Take their cold seed and set it in the mind, and its slow root will lengthen deep and deep, till, following, you cling on to the last ledge, over the unthinkable, unfathomed edge, beyond which man remembers only sleep. I think poetry is very much in the mind of the person who reads it, how it's interpreted. But for me, I think she's basically covering evolution, that the Cycads, their origins are traced back to Jurassic times, the times of the dinosaurs, and they haven't changed in all those centuries. And I think it's just the mentioning of the brilliant birds that are in the air one moment and are gone, and the years spinning on. I think it's sort of like the evolution. Birds did evolve into these beautiful creatures, but the Cycads just seem to a generation carved in stone. Yeah. Anyway, I just think that's a lovely poem. Judith Wright. I studied her when I was at school, so I don't know if they still look at her poems now. I wish they did if they don't. Okay, let's move on now that I've got that out of my system. And, that noise will be the recycle bin people. They're coming to pick up my lawn clippings from yesterday. Right, now then. This here, I found the very first cross stitch that I ever did, and it came from Discovering Needlecraft. That was a magazine that used to come out, and there were a lot of them, and they provided folders that you could put your magazines in that you ordered from the newsagent. I think what happened was you could buy the first so many, and then they just became order only. And I can remember how pleased I was when one came in to the newsagent that I could pick up. And this one it was a free little kit that came, and it's got lavender still in it that smells. It's a little bit still there. And the lace and everything was provided. And you can see how ham-fisted I was. I'm obviously not much of a finisher. But I did enjoy stitching that. And they say that you shouldn't ever play golf, because if you play one game of golf, you hook forever. I think that's what happened with me with cross-stitch. Once I did this one little piece, I was hooked. So, I also mentioned last time the migraine piece that I did for my mother-in-law, and I found it, and it was this one, and that's a Waratah. I won't look at it for too long because I don't want to get a headache. But when I was up with my husband visiting her recently, I did take a picture of this one that I've done, because I gave them to her, the 2 stitches I did for her. There was that one, and then there was this one. They're Australian natives, these ones. That's a Sturt Desert Pea, flannel flowers, gum tree blossoms, and these are called bottle brushes there, and they're little gum nuts, Waratahs. And I took photographs, as I say, of them on the wall just to give you an idea. Now that one there, that was another poppy one that I did that I gave to her. A lot of my cross stitches I've given away. And that's the one I stitched for her. And, oh, that's another one of it. Then that's the one that gave me a bad headache. So, I mean, they're really nice kits. Oh, was it a kit? I can't remember. Yes, it was a kit. Helene Wild. So anyway, that's those that I wanted to show you because I did mention them. And there's nothing worse than mentioning something and then not ending up showing you. So I thought I'd do it while I was thinking of it. Now, let's have a look at my little pile here. This one I haven't stitched this one yet. Super Value, it's a mug mat. Designs for Needle Ink, Madison Avenue, 2537. Just sitting here waiting for the caffeine to kick in. I really must. Right, anyway, that's that. Here. Oh, this is Elgar's birthplace. He was a composer who's, if you remember back to Princess Diana and Charles's wedding, they played Elgar's music there. And that's his birthplace. Country Threads, Red-Capped Robins. Oh well, I've done one of them. Just move on. Now this one here is Gold Collection, Floral Retreat. And I liked this one because it reminded me of ancient Rome, which is another one of my favourite topics. Let's see where I am with this one. Oh gosh, you can tell I don't rehearse these. Yes, it's that corner there. And the pillars will be over here. I've sort of started the pillars there. cut some of this video out, I think, because it's be a little bit boring for you. Right, so that's that one there. What else have I got here? Oh, now some people will have already seen this one. This is the Thomas Kincaid, and I have already done one of these. The Painter of Light, the rather wonderful Thomas Kincaid. Beautiful picture. And this one, it's still got a way to go as far as I have a lot of French knots to do. And I'm thinking that I will maybe do the flowers a different colour with this one. See, I've done them, some orange ones down there, and I think that's about as many orange ones as I will do. And then I'll do a whole sea of different colours up here. Right, so that's, I mean, this is really bad. I didn't realise I had so many whips, because you put them away and you just don't think any more about it. Well, I mean, you know, I have had them in storage, but anyway, that's beside the point. Now this one, I really like this one, because I have a great affection for geraniums. And I think where I do sort of like the fairies, the Mirabilia fairies, and, you know, all the adult ones. But I'd like the child fairies a lot as well. I think it's just the innocence of them. And it doesn't look as though I've actually done anything with that one. I just piled these up. Oh, now, Bucilla. Now, I did show that one, and I also showed this other one that I was going to do. And I may well still do them, but I'm not very happy with Bucilla kits, because they give you become an unwilling member of staff with Bucillas, because they give you all this is the kits, they give you all the floss and everything, but it's all very confusing. I mean, usually with kits, one of the reasons you get a kit is because you can't be asked to go and look for all the threads and all the rest of it. You just want it all there, ready to go. And where they provide everything, it's all, well, I don't know where to begin, really. You get this massive big, with all your threads. Now, I tried to put all the colours and everything, but they're so close together in colour with your shades, and you might get, say, 6 different greens, and there's all 2 of each one. So then you've got to go through a process of elimination as to which one is which green that you're looking for. And they give you this card, wait till I get it, this here, and you're supposed to put your colour with the shade. Now, I mean, really, there's not that much difference between them. And I mean, I got my husband, who has the patience of Job, was going through it, trying to match up all these colours. And it just, I said, in the end, I said, look, leave it. I am not being another employee of Bucilla trying to match up these colours for this work. They do give you the DMC colour. So my advice to anyone who's thinking of a Bucilla is to try and get it in just the chart to save yourself a lot of time and effort. It took my husband hours, and we still aren't sure if the colours are correct. Or if you can't get the chart, just be in full knowledge if you get a kit that you're probably better off to provide the DMC colours yourself, because honestly it has put me right off doing those two, which is a shame because I was looking forward to doing them. I mean, some people may have no problem whatsoever with Bucilla, and great if you don't have a problem with their kits. Whitby, it's quicker by rail. Now, we went to Whitby, that's in the north of England. Captain Cook did his apprenticeship in Whitby, and we went to where he used to work, and he was the fellow who's credited with coming to Australia and discovering, I mean, it was already discovered, of course there were people here already, but in the days of the voyages, the big voyages of Christopher Columbus and all those other explorers, well, Captain Cook was on a list of those, and he came and circumnavigated Australia. So we went and had a look at Whitby, and I ended up getting this chart in order to commemorate us going there. And I think that's that one there. And it's quicker by rail. These were when you got on a train in the 60s, and my father used to work for the railways, and we used to go on holidays by train in the 50s and early 60s. And behind the seats in the train, there used to be little almost photographs and things, or paintings, telling you to travel by train. You know, if you were going on your holidays, it was a great way to get to wherever you were going. And this is a copy of one of those pictures that went behind the seats that you sat in. It's quicker by rail. And there's the old abbey up on the hillside there. And yeah, so there's that one. Some of these I'm not showing because I don't have the stitching with me, but if I get the stitching, because that's in another container somewhere else, I will then show them to you. The Feng Shui collection, and this one is Love, that one there, and really I haven't done the outside of that yet anyway, but I should have been satisfied. You see here, it's just white in the background there, and I should have been satisfied with that, but of course I wasn't. I decided to do the background in this grey, and then I ran out of grey. And that was when we were in that remote area where when you ran out of threads and you just had to wait. So that is one that I will have to finish off if I can find something of the same dye lot. If not, I'm in for a bit of a frogging fest, aren't I, to get rid of all that grey I've put there. Now here we have Cicely Mary Barker Flower Fairies. Which is rather lovely as well. And needless to say, I haven't done anything with that one. So that's another one that, oh gosh, this is embarrassing. Embarrassing. Then this one here, this was to commemorate our trip to, you know, when we went on the barge. I've mentioned that in some of my previous videos. And we went for a ride in that for about 3 days or so. And we also, that's my husband, my sister and brother-in-law, we drove all around England and looked at so many different places. And I think this is what I did. I adapted that because we didn't go to all those places. We went to most of them. So I adapted it for the places that we did go to. And I've still got to label them all up. So, yeah, there's the Houses of Parliament and Durham Cathedral and the Lake District, Tower of London, oh no, Windsor Castle that is, and various other landmarks. I mean, really, I just don't have enough, like everyone, none of us have enough stitching hours in the day. We should all be clones of ourselves so that we can get all these things done. I can't show you that one because I haven't got... Now this one here, I don't know that it will ever be finished because it was left to me by my lovely Auntie Ruth. That's a tiger. And I don't have the rest of the chart yet, but I'm going to try and find it. But at the moment, that's as far as she got with him. But I am going to endeavour to, because it came to me but it didn't have the chart with it. Anyway, I might have to do some sleuthing to see if I can get that. Here's a little one I did. It was a Christmas one. It's the Teddy Tum Tum series. And I think he's delightful. That little hat. So I just have him on the wall all year round. That's him. Now this one I did for my daughter. Oh, that was just one of my... I did a little picture on the back that I did, but this is for my daughter for school, and it's a... this one here. crossstitching.com crazy. Came out of a magazine anyway. I mean, she was very keen on this particular picture called Honey Bunch, and I stitched it for her, and then I stuck it on with the clear plastic on her, you know, school diary. And then she was keen on Winnie the Pooh, you know, Eeyore and Piglet, so I put that on for a bookmark for her. I think they said the reason that Winnie the Pooh got the name Pooh was because when he was eating honey, the flies used to come round and he used to go poof, poof, to get the flies off away from his nose, his snout. So that's where Winnie the Pooh came from, as far as I know anyway. Right. Well, we're coming to 36 minutes, so I'll just do this. It might be a bit less than that because I might edit a few bits out. I don't like editing, but sometimes I find myself a bit tedious, so I might get rid of a bit of me. Yes, this is the one that my eldest son, he got me, well, he took me shopping and said pick out a cross stitch. So I picked this one out, and I didn't realise that this was actually printed on and you stitch this bit. I don't know why I didn't realise that, but I didn't. But I did change some of the colours because I wasn't happy with some of the colours in there. So it was a kit, but I played with it. I have to just do this in. Right, so I just changed the colours of some of the flowers because I just didn't like that whitey looking dull colour. So, and here on the vase I did some stitching on there as well. So I did add some stitching to the printed part. And I think because I've sort of bulked it up, I think it puckered the material a little bit, but I suppose I could stretch that. So I'll just show you the original again, just to refresh your eyes. See this here, oh, excuse me for clearing my throat. You know, the beigey looking, it didn't do anything for me at all. So there's a lot of satin stitch there and some lazy daisy. Oh, the one bit I do like about this, because I don't really think it, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I quite like the work on the vase there, and these. I mean, some of it looks okay. That in the vase there, I quite like those little bits. But some of it looks decidedly dodgy. So it just depends on, see, those don't look too bad, I guess. But I think you're your own worst critic, aren't you? Well, you have to evaluate as honestly as you can when you do different works as to the success or otherwise of your endeavour. Because, as you know, stitching takes a long time. You know, if you've done something that you're not happy with, I mean, that's not just a few hours. It's hours and hours and hours. So, you know. Yes. Well, that's a whole lot more of my whips. And I do have just a few more somewhere that I'll have to see once I've tidied up and sorted myself out, which will probably be in the next millennium by the time I've done that anyway. But I just thought I'd show you those. And Judith Wright's beautiful poem. A lot to do with evolution in there. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for your company, and thank you for all the people who comment and everything. You know, I mean, it is a lovely community we have here, and so many different stitches with so many different ideas and tastes, and you know, I enjoy looking at them all, because, you know, even if you don't have the same taste, you can't help but be inspired by the amount of work that goes into them and the sentiments behind, you know, why they choose those pieces and who they're choosing them for and all that sort of thing. Okay, I've raved on long enough now. I'll see you again next time, and until then, happy stitching to everyone. Bye for now.